Hey everybody, I'm Invisiblekatana, and this video is another video in my year-long celebration of Back to the Future. Of course, this is technically, I believe, my third video after it has officially been October 21st, 2015, so that's kind of weird. It's no longer the future, but this video is about the different timelines that we've seen, different times in general that we've seen, one of which being a different timeline. Um, I guess technically we do still see like three different timelines from 1985 because of the beginning of the film. But I wanted to do this video just talking about all the different times we've seen and what your favorite is, because we have three movies, we have a lot of different time periods, and like I said, even different timelines where some stuff is different slightly, kind of like how things ended for the first film, where it's like, oh, life is better, and somehow their house is different. Now that I think about it, that's kind of weird. But for whatever reason, things are better and not like drastically different. They still have the same amount of kids and everything. But things changed a little bit, and then we have like Back to the Future Part 2, where we get like alternate 1985, which was just a disaster. And then we have some other really cool stuff. We have like the 50s in general. It's just the 50s, the 80s. 1776 or 1775, I believe. 1775. So, a lot of different time periods. Of course, we have 2015, which is not as amazing as it was in the film. But there are a lot of different times. A lot of cool things from each era. Like some stuff just in real life, like the 50s had some cool stuff. I love 50s cars. I can't 100% say I love the style. I like suits. I mean, people look good in suits and dresses and stuff, but that's just annoying to me. Like, I like gym shoes. I can't stand wearing dress shoes because I hate dress socks, but I do like the style. Like, suits are nice. My favorite, I'm a bit biased, of course, because of the hat and it's just so cool. But of course, I love the future. Like, the 2015 stuff was my favorite, even though it wasn't really like the big point of that film. It just, it was just kind of the start of things, and that's how the ball got rolling. And it was really like the shortest, probably, well, the second shortest, because the alternate timeline we got the least amount of time in. Not counting, I guess not counting regular 1985. I hardly even count it, to be honest, because you're never in it, except for really the first movie. But my favorite was definitely the future, because it just looked cool. I mean, that's where we get the hoverboard. That's where we get, the jacket and the hat and stuff. And that's where we see, like, the Cafe 80s, which was just really funny. And, little Elijah Wood and that other random kid who probably didn't grow up to be famous. That's where they're talking about games and things like that. And I just really enjoyed it. It was cool to see, like, the floating cars and everything. The style, once again, I can't say 100% that I enjoyed that. Not, double tie stuff wasn't like the coolest thing. Even in the movie, the double tie stuff looked weird, but I certainly enjoyed it. It was really cool. It was definitely my favorite because of just the technology, and I think it was because of the idea of what it was. And I think that's how things always work. It's always like, oh, whether it's fake or not, it's like, man, seeing the future in any sort of movie is really cool, unless it's sort of like the post-apocalyptic type thing, and then it's like, well, that's less cool. But seeing a future like that was definitely exciting. There are, of course, other elements I loved about all the other different times that they showed. Like I already mentioned, like the 50s, and just, I do love 50s cars. They all look pretty cool. They don't all look cool, but they only show the cool cars whenever you watch a period piece or any movie that goes to any certain time. They only show, like, the coolest cars. They never show, like, just normal stuff, unless it's like the 80s or 90s. And 70s. I think after the 60s, that's when movies start to show normal cars. If it's like the 60s or the 50s, or 60s, or further back, it's always like the best cars of that time. It's never like the normal stuff. But once it hits 70s, it's like, nah, just whatever, just show whatever's there. So I always find like a little bit funny, but I certainly love the cars. The 1985 stuff was just good to see. I, of course, was not alive during the 80s. I was born in 92, so, it's not too different. It wasn't, like, insane to see, like, anything from the 80s, so there wasn't much there. It was just seeing how that changed, I think, was probably the greatest thing about the 80s, where it was, like, we got to see, just normal Marty McFly living his life during 1985, and then we see the alternate 1985, or like the good alternate, I guess, 1985 by the end of the film, and then the insanely drastic, horrible Biff took over the world version of 1985, which that was cool because that was where they did a lot of the foreshadowing stuff, was during the alternate scenes, and that was when they did the Mad Dog Tannen thing, who's of course like the villain for the third film, and that's where they do. Um, I don't know which movie it was. It's from the Man with No Names trilogy, so it may have been The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, but I really have no idea. Could have been A Fistful of Dollars. I don't remember the third one. Um, but that was what Marty did to survive at the end of the third film as well. So that's probably my favorite thing about the alternate 1985, because it was like those were the big references to the third movie. I was like, that's just really cool. I didn't realize that. Of course, no one did when they first saw the movie. And even when I saw the third movie for the first time, I didn't realize it until I like went back and I was like, oh crap! Like this was, like I'd forgotten that scene, because I think when I saw the second film for the first time, it was just on cable, and when I saw the third movie for the first time, it was on DVD. And I may have watched it. I may have realized it if I did watch them all in the same day. I really can't remember because that was so long ago when I bought like my first trilogy set on DVD from like Target, because they oddly have like all these different trilogy sets. I don't know if they still do that, but they used to be like the place you could go to if there was any franchise that only did 3 movies. You could always go to Target and just buy it, buy the whole set for some reason. So that's how I got, that's how I first got all 3 movies together. But it was really cool, and of course the alternate 85 being just a disaster was also pretty fun to watch, because it was just weird. It was crazy to see that, and it wasn't just like, oh, this kind of sucks because this happened or that happened. It was just destruction. Like everything was just destroyed. There were just markings on the ground, dead bodies, car crashes piled up. The school was gone for like 6 years. At least by 1985, it was gone for like 6 years and stuff. And then we have like the Biff Tower and Casino Hotel and just everything. And then it's just like a giant motorcycle gang riding around, right in front of it, and all this other stuff. So it was just really cool seeing all the weird things that they changed about it, and I certainly love that. And then, of course, in the third movie, just the Old West in general, pretty cool. So, there wasn't too much specific about it. It was mostly the fact that it was the movie set in the Old West, but it was still really awesome. So I love that. But just a random video to do, because I almost missed this month. I tried to do one every month, and this month I've been like just not able to do anything. So I was so glad that I had like my last little day, and I'll be able to upload this by tonight. And it should upload technically before it's December 1st. So that was actually pretty cool. I actually at the last minute remember like, oh crap, I didn't do a Back to the Future video this month. So I was glad I was able to do this one. This is something I planned on doing during October 21st, but I ended up doing like 3 other videos instead. So I was like, I'll just save that for later instead of just piling it on right now. But it was one I wanted to do. Not a ton of different things to talk about as far as times and eras and timelines, but I do want to know your favorites. Maybe just your favorite components from each different timeline and things like that, because there's a lot to love from each one. Whether it was real like the Old West stuff, or 55 and 85, or fake like just the crazy like the stuff I like from the alternate 85 really wasn't even about the 85 version. It was just what they did in that alternate timeline to foreshadow kind of the third movie, which was really awesome. But whether it's a whole era, a whole timeline, or anything like that, I definitely want to know what you guys think. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.